Good morning, everyone. This is Ganesh Subramanian, founder and CEO of Stylumia. I'm delighted to be, moderating this session. But the most of the nuggets are going to be shared by the panelists who come from diverse backgrounds. And it's such an exciting topic. And I'm going to steal the idea of Sam, who said, is there an interesting quote on color? I was just asking the panelists just a minute back. And he said, color is the first thing that we notice and the last thing that anybody forgets. What a powerful statement, right? If that is the case, that all our consumers notice color. While this remains a quote, is there a science to prove color is important? Today, if you can't measure anything, you can't improve, and people don't believe. So we at Stylumia always use advanced AI to look at measuring things which we normally think not measurable. Now, just to give you a statistic, you know how important is color in a fashion garment? We use machine learning techniques to study importance of various attributes and performance of a product. Just to share that statistic, color contributes 30 to 35% of success of any fashion product, which means 1/3 of success of a product, color is so critical. We all know, right? There's so many attributes in a fashion product, but this one single attribute is 1/3 contribution to success of a product. With that bit of insight, that we are in a very exciting conversation today, and I'm going to ask each one of the panelists to introduce themselves very quickly. Maybe I'll just call on names, starting from Nihal.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Thanks, Ganesh. I'm Nihal Rajan. I'm Vice President and Head of Design and Brand Merchandising for Myntra. Actually, half a brands within Myntra. I've been with the company for 6 years and very, very excited to be part of this panel and webinar. Welcome, you all.
Thanks, Nihal. Over to you, Sartaj.
Hi, I am Sartaj Mehta. I am Director Design and Product for Pepe Jeans London. I handle all categories for Pepe Jeans and have been in the Indian apparel industry for 20 odd years. I've handled 4 to 5 big brands. Had the opportunity to do so, and I'm very excited to be here because we're talking something which is very fundamental. I will say color is first amongst the equal ingredients for the apparel.
Thank you, Sartaj. Over to you, Shilpee.
Good morning, everyone. Myself, Shilpee Sharma. I'm a Senior Vice President and Head of Design for Reliance Retail. I've been in the industry for 30 years. I'm a designer by passion, profession, and qualification. I really enjoy colors. I'm very excited to be a part of this webinar today.
Wonderful, Shilpee. Over to you, Nelson.
Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm Nelson JAFFERY, and I head the design for Liva at Birla Cellulose, which is a part of the Aditya Birla group. And as everyone mentioned, very excited to be a part of this event. I have been a part of this industry for about 28 years now. Always loved fashion and textiles, and passionate about color as well. And I'm looking forward to being a part of this event and share my insights and also maybe gain some insights from my fellow panelists. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Nelson. Over to you, Partha.
Hello, guys. My name is Partha Sinha. I've been a part of this creative side of apparel-led lifestyle industry for about 2 decades, and honestly, I've enjoyed every bit of my journey. A large part of my experience lies with Aditya Birla Group, where I led creative for brands like Van Heusen and Louis Philippe. And large part of my work experience is in offline. Last 2 years almost, I've been with online business, which is a complete new domain. I've been working with Amazon as head of design for private brands. And thanks, Ganesh and Sam, for arranging this. I think it will be exciting and interesting.
Hey, thanks, Partha. Over to you, Sam.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining today. My name is Sam Selgonker. I take care of Pantone's Southeast Asia business for sales and marketing. I'm working with Pantone almost 10 years, and total experience in this industry around 22 years, and 10 years with Pantone and rest with various textile exporting companies handling lifestyle products. So I am thankful to the panelists as well as all the people who joined today. I hope these deliberations will bring solution or answer some of the questions which Indian fashion industry is facing today. Looking forward to learn from each other. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam, and really appreciate Pantone for partnering with us today, in presenting this value-adding webinar to everybody here. And we will also be sharing this post the webinar so that a lot more people can get benefit. And we also have Vatan, who is my colleague from Stylumia, who is going to be supporting me through this presentation. Vatan, can you show your face to the audience?
Hey everyone, good morning. Welcome all. I'll be sharing some questions to all of you to keep it interactive.
Hey, thanks, Vatan, for supporting me through this webinar. Wonderful. I just want to give maybe a minute of, what this partnership between Stylumia and Pantone, right? Pantone is the go-to name for colors, right? We're all used to it throughout our career. And I just want to mention the intensity of this panel today. You have close to 150 to 175 years of experience, which is amazing. Power packed in 1 hour. For please interact, ask your questions. As and when the question arises, you can put it on Q&A, and we will try to answer either through the panel or towards the end of it. And we really want it to be interactive. And Stylumia started as a platform to provide information, data-backed decision-making for fashion professionals, from design to merchandising to distribution. And in the initial years, we were converting all the color insights into RGBs. And we were throwing RGBs at our customers. And what do designers, do with RGB? It's not actionable at all. And that is when, it was just 1.5 2 years back, Sam, if I'm right, where Pantone reached out to us saying that we are partnering with emerging tech companies who are helping decision-making in the fashion business. And how do we make colors actionable? For today, as we talk, the Stylumia platform contains Pantone equivalent for every insight that we provide. I really want to thank Pantone, because if you don't adopt, there is no value of any insight. For it's a wonderful power combination which helps our users who are designers, buyers, and merchandisers to adopt all the insights. With that behind us, and I'm going to kick off with, see, if we don't understand the audience, how do we deliver value? So I'm going to ask my colleague Vatan to put a simple multiple choice question on the screen. You have, you've got a link on the text box. All of you, please click on that link and tell us what's your background. And we'll have the results on the screen quickly, so that all the planners understand what is the background of all the audience today. Vatan, you can put the results page on the screen. I hope everybody is able to see the link. Please click the link and you will be able to provide, we'll know whether you are a designer, you're coming from buying and merchandising. Interesting. As you can see here, we have a good amount of our audience from design, followed by buying and merchandising. And we have owners and promoters of companies also on the call. And we also have other disciplines in the call, right? For this helps all the panelists whenever we respond to any questions that we are aligned to who is listening to this webinar today. Wonderful. Thank you all for interacting. And it's amazing to see so many responses. And I'm sure many of you might be on a mobile phone. In spite of that, you're able to respond. Yeah, thank you. Yes, operations, wonderful. Therefore, some of the others include operations and distribution. Therefore, people are coming from various parts of the value chain. Now, the first question to the panelist I'm going to throw is, let's start from top down. If you don't have a strategy, there is no deliberate action, right? The question is, how do you use color as a key pillar of long-term product and seasonal design strategy? I would like the panelists to answer this with also practical application of how do they go about doing this. Over to you. We can start from Partha.
So interesting one, Ganesh. I think color is one of the most important subject for anyone who belongs to field of product development, be it apparel-led lifestyle business or any other product development. It's a question which is quite deep, and I think it will take a few extra minutes for me to make people understand, audience understand the concept behind color. So broadly speaking, there are just 3 colors across this whole universe, which makes the whole gamut of colors which you see in Pantone book, which is red, yellow, and blue. Mixing these three colors, you get green, orange, and purple. And finally, when you mix all these 6 colors, you get the whole gamut of colors in the universe. So it's quite fascinating. It's a fascinating subject for me, according to me. And when you add white or black to these 6 colors, or a mixture of these 6 colors, you get the tints or the shades of the color. Now, if you put these 6 color in a color wheel, you get one side of the color will be warm colors, and the other side of the color will be called as cool colors, which are like green, blue, and purple. The warm colors would be red, yellow, and orange. So when we decide a strategy for color for the season or trans-seasonal, like these 2 important parameters are very, very critical for us, which is the usage of these group of colors, how we utilize these colors. And second important part for me is what each color means for a customer. Like unconsciously, there are meanings of color. For example, if you consider red, which is a color of passion, orange, which is a color of enthusiasm, similarly, a color like green, which is optimistic or a refreshing color, for example, purple, which is a color of royalty. So when you mix all these parameters of warm colors, cool colors, and the color, what the color means in terms of its real sense, then you get an idea how to utilize these colors and mix these colors. Now, the complicated part is the color mixing part, which is like the most challenging part for a designer's application of colors. So there are different ways to mix colors. The most simplest one I'll start with, for example, if you do a palette of black and white, that's called an analogous color mixing, which includes black, white, and a combination of these 2 colors, which is gray. Similarly, another simpler one is called monochromatic. Like say, if you say a color, if you see the color wheel, wherein you use different shades of say a particular color like a red, starting from a light pink to a maroon. Light pink is the lighter version of tint of a red, and the darker red which is maroon, is the shade of a red. So it's called monologous color palette. The other ones wherein you mix different color families together is the biggest, that brings the biggest amount of complication. How do you use? So there is a science behind it, and there are different kinds of methodologies to mix these colors, which is like complementary colors mixing, which is like, say, the colors which are opposite to the color wheel, in the color wheel, the color families which are opposite to each other, they are called complementary colors, and there's a science behind it. So one color family, actually what happens, they complement the other family, which makes the combination looks good. So you can go with a tint or shade of a color, which is the light version or the dark version of the same color family, and mix it with the family from the opposite group of colors, hues, which is complementing each other. So these are the parameters scientifically which could be used very well to decide on the color strategy for a particular product, user interface, or for a season, etc. That's what we do generally in the field of design. Ganesh, I don't know whether I could clarify
Thanks,
that out.
thanks, Partha, taking us through the science of color and how do you go about, getting your dream color through the mix of the foundational colors.
It's a subject, just to elaborate a little more, it's a subject which can take years to understand. A few minutes wouldn't do justice to it, but still, it was an attempt.
No, absolutely. I think we will, we're just listening. I think, by the way, Partha handles, a set of leads, set of private brands in a large marketplace, right? And which is wide across categories, etc. Now we'll jump over to somebody who runs a huge offline, India's largest retailer by now. Let's go over to Shilpee, who does a lot of offline retail, work with various brands and retailers, and your perspective on using color as a strategic lever.
Yeah, Ganesh, color is the most important thing when we create a collection for a season. And we spend much more time on color than spending on silhouettes and fabrics, because color is something which is the first reflex to a customer. And we create a palette wherein we have some classic colors which continue season after season, season after season, like neutral palettes and the softer colors. And then we bring in some strong season colors which are very, very important for that particular season. And it is done by a big research we do. We do a lot of research through Pantone forecasting, then PV, then Pecklers and different forecasting agencies. And then we convert it and relocate it as per our Indian market. Color also reflects the sentiment of what society is going through. So we incorporate all that and we create our own color palette of the season, which runs across different brands and different lifestyle products. So it is indeed the most important part of a season's collection.
Thanks, Shilpee. I think we the importance of having the seasonal colors and colors which last for a long time. I think it's a great point here. We'll move over to somebody who's now driving India's largest online fashion retail, right? And playing private brands in such a competitive marketplace is not an easy game. Nihal, over to you on how do you approach color strategy.
Thanks, Ganesh. And I won't repeat what the fellow panelists already said. I think completely agree with both of you, right, Shilpee and Partha. But just purely from overall strategy, right, that we look at from a especially from a colors point of view, right. As we start, right, I think needless to say, is extremely strategic, right, in terms of just having the right color and the palette of color that works together, right. I think a very insightful conversation that Partha talked about, right, in terms of how these colors sort of complement each other and what kind of a palette we should look at. But we start literally thinking that in terms of what happened last season, right? And really realizing in terms of what worked, what didn't work for you, right? And more importantly, what are the new winners, right, in the market? And that I think is a good insight in terms of where the future could go to. And then post which is when you look at all kind of forecast research. But I think what where we spend a lot of time, right, is to understand that. Like it or not, we all know that a set of core colors seem like work season after season, right, and seem like connecting with consumer. You'll always find them in the store, right? But a lot of time that we spend essentially is to refresh the core, right? In terms of what is that new shade of anthra that's going to work this season better than the last season, right? And believe you me, right, if you can find those tones that sort of delightfully surprise the consumer, right? Especially in the plethora of products, right, that you go through an app, right? That color makes all the difference, right? And that's where I think amongst all the other blacks, that new black will make consumer stop and click, or that new anthra will get some consumers' attention, right? So I think a lot of time spent in terms of just getting the one, I think the refreshing the core, right? Uh, Also, I think, as I said, right, a lot of focus in terms of looking at colors which seem like the new winners, right, or emerging winners, and in terms of how do you want to build over it, right? What kind of a bets you need to take, in which category you need to take those bets, and especially when you're doing or actually taking those colors in, what are the right complementing colors that you'll have in the palette that actually help sell this color, look that color better on consumer, and then build an entire point of view overall, right? But I said we like it's a massive product range that we sort of deliver season on season to our consumer, and colors become extremely critical. And not only that, that they are the important driver from a business point of view, but they also extremely critical to ensure that each of the brands that we have within the the business that we manage also have a unique identity and some sort of a unique connection and relatability with the consumer, right? So a lot of these colors over a period of time do become pretty much like the brand color, and it's very important in terms of how you build that core color and then build colors around it so that the the brand identity continues to stay strong and well protected and builds over a period of time.
Nihal, I think the point on building a point of view through color is a key strategic lever. That your brand can actually send a very clear message to your consumers through color as your strategic lever.
Right.
Over to Sartaj.
I think just continuing on the same lines, we have different challenge. Being a global brand, we always look at the global sensibilities in terms of colors and the domestic sensibilities, which, my past experiences with the other global brands also vary a lot. A gray is a favorite color in Europe. Gray doesn't sell so much in India. And similarly, there are many examples which happen. So the biggest challenge when we are, looking at the seasons, which happen to be almost 4 seasons in a year, every 3 months is a season, is actually trying to balance out the colors in such a way that your global sensibilities remain aligned and you are able to take care of the need for the domestic color, where you need to have the far brighter tones to cater to the Indian audience. And when you look at the categories where we have a similar kind of stories forecasted, the color stories for genders, different genders, but yet, each gender has its different requirement. The kids tend to be a little more colorful, more on the brighter side. Adults have a different mix of play of colors. So I think when we strategically start working on a season, first thing becomes, which is critical, is to kind of balance your colors. And it becomes extremely important for us visually look at the products which are in those colors. So for me, the strategy remains that you should be able to look at categories through those colors, which becomes very important. For example, if you take a yellow, doesn't mean yellow can grow across the categories. Then you need to balance that also. So I think that's where the excitement comes, that the right balance of the colors, balancing global and domestic sensibilities, then balancing colors for each category, and yet making it look harmonious. So that harmony, I think, becomes the key.
Sartaj, easier said than done, and interpreting, looking at global trends, interpreting for the local market, getting the harmony, a lot of work, right? And getting it all right at the same time. Oh, wonderful. And as I go into Nelson and Sam, I just thought I'll ask Sam, which is, who's coming from Pantone, on in the same context, right? What is the best Pantone guide? You have lots of, for different materials, cotton, nylon, polyester, today blends are in trend. Now, what kind of standards one should look at?
Actually, I'll just comment on the first part of the question and then come to the specific about which guide is suitable for what type of the designers. As you said, that color is, we started with a very powerful statement. Color is the first thing you notice and last thing you forget. So 80% of human experience is filtered through eyes. So visual clues are very essential to draw the attention. So brands has used the color as a design strategy so that every color has psychological relationship. It evokes the emotion with the buyers or the consumers. So brands are using wisely these color elements. And I would like to give some of the examples. For example, Tiffany is a particular brand who has used their color to create the brand loyalty. And whenever you in the packaging as well as in the visual merchandising. So they create particular iconic shade where consumers can recall the brand name just by seeing at the color. Coca-Cola it is another example. Similarly, the color can be used for the social causes. For example, Apple Red, you see the red phone of the Apple. So they use the red colors to create a strategy for the social cause of whatever the collection coming from this. They want to use it for the service to the patients of the AIDS. Similarly, there is the rapper called Nas who has created the color ultra black. So this is the color they wanted to create so that they can talk about the contribution made by the Black community in the progress of America. So color can be used as a design strategy. It can be used as a social causes, as a long-term bet. And coming back to this question about which guide is suitable for, generally, normally this is a common questions coming to us that I'm a designer, which is guide suitable for me. So general advice, we have a two system, Pantone matching system and fashion and home system. So if you are a web designer, product designers, or those working on the printing segment or packaging segment, you should go for the Pantone matching system. And if you are in the textile, you should go for the fashion and home system. And in fashion and home system, if you are working especially on the apparel side or the fabric side, you should always go for the TCX, that is the textile cotton system. And if you are working on the accessories, which goes along with the apparel, like zips, buttons, or some of the accessories which are carried along with the apparels, like the bags, shoes, then you should go for the TPG. So this is what the general recommendation.
Thanks, Sam, for those insights. Over to Nelson. You are at far end of the value chain at the fiber stage, right? And maybe the most difficult, right? And how do you strategize color?
Yeah, so for Ganesh, for us, being in the fiber business, we begin quite early in the value chain. And so we study the various color forecasts and, be it Premier Vision, be it the textile views, or color inputs that we receive from our brands as well. And then we create our own palette, which is, suitable for both global as well as the Indian market. And most of our customers are from the value chain, are our value chain partners and brands. And we keep sharing the color forecast with our value chain partners. Also, we ensure that the colors used in our collections are based on, trend analysis, because that's how it will benefit our partners. We do have a product which is fiber dyed called Sponge Shades, though we do not update it, season on season. But yes, it is important for us to know if there is a new color demand from the buyers and in the market, to keep checking and then analyzing and then make it a part of our, the core 74 color palette that we have. And all applications and new products that we make and develop, we have to show them in the season's trend colors, to our customers and our brands. So color for us is extremely important. That's the first part that we look at in our entire process. And we work with, again, core and fashion colors. While core is essential, to pair with and coordinate, and is mainly the most perennial colors of, from the palette. The fashion colors is where we follow what is trending and, keep on updating them to make sure that we have a good balance.
Great, Nelson. Thanks for that. And, as you rightly said, on one side, early in the value chain, you look at forecast, you work with your partners who are brands and retailers. Now, brands and retailers are looking up to consumer for forecast, right? Now, finally, it's all about consumers, right? Whatever we do, it's all for consumers, right? So at this point of time, we just want to quickly show you some color trends that we've spotted in India. Colors that win, colors that are growing, colors that are degrowing in midst of COVID. Pre-lockdown, post-lockdown. A snippet of an insight. I think time is not sufficient for us to go into details. So these are all generated from the Stylumia platform. Over to you, Vatan, if you can just quickly show those slides. Winning and growing colors through the COVID period, right? So as you can see, the wax cellulose, the tangerine, and the bachelor button, whatever you call it, right? Interesting names, right? And all of these are Pantone names, right? As you can see here, we picked up the Pantone shades of those colors, and I'm telling you, and we are seeing them growing. Not only they're winning, they're also growing through this period. So let's move forward. These are the colors going down through the COVID period. Now, definitely, there is some theme. I would, at some point of time, I would like panelists to comment on it. The red, which is typically, always on color, is going down through this pandemic, right? And the olives, and also that Victorian blue. Move on. Winning colors in women, right? Similar but different tones. Different tones of yellow, right? Different tone of orange, and a different pink here, right? And these colors are growing and winning, right? Winning means we are talking about they are in the top 20 percentile of the colors. And the colors who are degrowing are colors falling in trend are these two, right? Whether oceanic pigeon blue, blue atoll. Now, different tones of blue not doing well during this period. It's a very, very small snippet, and there are a lot of questions with the audience and say, how do I interpret colors for India? And these are all Indian color analysis from real consumers. 30 plus million Indian consumers are telling us this we like, this we don't like. And that's what we provide on a real-time dynamic basis for all the customers. With that bit of insight, let's go over to the next question for the audience. The question is very, very interesting. Do men and women perceive color the same way? Here you go with the link. Do men and women perceive the color same way. Vatan, can you post the link, please? Please click on that link and vote as you have done before. Very interesting. Now, the insight on this is important. Let's see what the audience is saying. Very, very interesting. What that means, that whether we are men or women, we perceive color differently. Now, research has proved, and first of all, audience, you're in the perfect space. You got it right, most of you. And those of you who are not answered, and those of you who answered not right, the insight is this, that women have 2 X chromosomes and men have only 1 X chromosome. And X chromosome actually decides how we perceive, particularly the reds and the oranges. Very, very important. Therefore, the 2X chromosome in women makes us perceive the red and orange tones very differently. It's not all colors, particular colors very, very differently. Therefore, whenever you are taking a red or an orange tone tick off, please ensure you ask your women audience, right? Please ensure that they are involved in decision making of those colors. Thank you very much, Vatan. We can move on to the next question to the panelist. Now, we have been talking about human feelings and colors, right? The psychology of colors, right? One of you wanted to talk about the psychology of color. Whoever wants to go ahead first, please go ahead. How do you keep that in mind in designing color palette? Nihal, is that you?
I can go first, not a problem, right? But I think as we look at your research, Ganesh, right? I think as simple as that, and we've been seeing it, considering the time that the world has gone through, right? And it's been fairly tough on a lot of us, right? I think the emergence of some of these just sort of a genetically, more sort of a democratically put happy colors, right, is a reflection of that, right? You now need something that actually, when you wear it, makes you feel happy, right? I think that's important. It's just as simply put in terms of psychology, but I think it's extremely critical to understand the really each of these colors stand for what, right, and how well do they connect with consumer. The fact that we're looking at some of those, slightly deeper tones, right, of, the olives and blues sort of going down is also a reflection of the same, right? And hence, I think it's important, right, to understand that how each of these colors are connecting with consumer at a psychological level, right? And this is something, I mean, again, right, it probably needs a lot more time to understand this, but it's extremely critical, and I'm reasonably sure everybody who's in the business of fashion takes care of that, right? Because there's just no way, right, in a certain mood time, right, you work with a palette that actually doesn't work or align with the general psychology, right, of consumer at that point in time, right? But extremely critical, as you said, and decision for color, right? However, while I think there are multiple forecast research that sort of comes our way, is never, one-way traffic, right? Essentially means that you can't sit in your office and decide that these are the colors you want to go ahead for this season, right? In spite of the data that you have, right? I think you need to understand, more importantly, what is happening at a macro level, right? And it's not only the trend and forecast that is being probably, shared by, leading forecasting agencies, right? But it's also about in terms of what is happening on ground, which is actually impacting the overall social fabric of the country, right, or the world. And I think there are multiple of those sentiments that come and do reflect, in the choices that consumer are making, right, when they go for the purchase. And I think, I think, I mean, if I were to sort of put it very crisply, I think very, very important to be mindful of what is happening in your ecosystem, right? Not now, but forecast 6 months, 8 months, 10 minutes ahead, right, where the world would be moving, and how do you need to, respond to that, and again connect colors with the consumer psychology. And if you keep that lens, and then filter all the other information, trend, forecast through that, in all possibility, 8 out of 10, you will end up winning with consumer.
Yeah, thanks, Nihal. Considering time constraint and we have lots of questions, and I'm going to switch gear to audience, where what are they asking, right? Let's provide whatever inputs that we have. I'm just looking at some themes, right? One of the themes is from operations. Operations is always in a rush to improve sales. In that process, color blocking is not done properly. Is that a good thing? And what's your point of view? Any one or two of you can quickly show some light on this?
Yeah, Ganesh, color blocking is very, very important part of, the VM display, because as soon as when the customer walks in, and color is the first reflex for a human body, visual impact which comes onto a customer mind is the attraction to a certain color, and customer moves in that direction. And over there, after reaching there, he starts looking at the body's silhouettes, details, fit, and all that. So color blocking is a very important part of the customer experience, and attracting the customer towards the merchandise. So I would definitely say that color blocking should be done to make the whole customer experience much more easier and faster to decide.
Maybe I think the question is the question is from Nuthanayan Nigam, and maybe he's also wanting to know how you are all implementing this. Right? Is there a method in madness?
Yeah, if when we develop a collection for a season, we work on inspiration which has got a color story which is cohesive, which works very well with the the trend direction which is coming in and the story, and they are very complementing colors. But over a period of time, when the sales start and the stories are disintegrating, that is a time when the VM and the store operations start putting in the complementing colors such a way that aesthetically it looks nice, complement each other, and can generate multi buys.
Yeah, I just want to switch another question. Thanks, Shilpee, for that. The other question is what they are asking is about localization of colors. India is not one country. India has hottest. Most of India and maybe some parts of India are cooler. How do you ensure that you get localized color assortment, and how do you keep this in mind while you are designing? Sartaj, you.
Yeah, so see, Ganesh, India is very interesting and fascinating. We if we look at South always has a color demand for a very brighter color, especially if you look at a category like shirt, men's shirt I'm talking about. You have to have a brighter color in your palette. So when we look at 28 geographies of India, when we talk different climate, different colors, different cultures, and we have so much of influence which comes from ethnic, which is very bright and powerful. I think it also depends on the brand. It depends on your experience. You start learning how to balance the whole thing. So typically, when you look at a color story in a brand, we do around 4 color stories, which are very tight color, compact colors, because we look at some kind of harmony in that. You also learn how to pep up each story with the unique colors which you require for your country, either the brighter tones for them. So I think a lot of that comes with experience. You start understanding, that specific colors work in specific region, and how do you balance it. Then depending on the brand, you are able to create a unique language, and this all happens brand to brand, because I've worked in different brands, and different brands have different demands. So that comes, I think, with experience, with looking at the sales of the brand, understanding the consumer profile, and then doing the whole magic and trick, balancing out the colors. That's how you work on that.
Yeah. Thanks, Sartaj. And there is a lot of data and understanding consumer, understanding the brand DNA, which goes into this. Just want to share maybe 2 bits from my experience is that we work with global brands and retailers. Brands are very large. In fact, they categorize the geographies into seasonalities and the temperature zones, right? When you have clustering of your each one of your stores and distribution points by weather, it actually dovetails into your range planning. So there is a science of clustering all the stores into weather groups, and then ensuring that the respective stores get the right assortment of merchandise, and color is one of the important variables. So just to give you that perspective, Partha, Nelson, anybody who wants to add to that question on localization?
I'd like to add on Ganesh little bit that it is not only, the localization, it is also the segment. In Indian market, there is multiple segments and the taste of colors different. And it is, weather is one part, apart from, the geography of a city. Within a city, there is, different stores behave differently to different colors. So it is very, very dynamic country and a dynamic market, India itself, that the taste of Bandra customer and a taste of Thana customer differs, even color wise. So, we'll have to get, close to our customers to attract and do the assortment store-wise as well. Weather is important. Even the store locations are also very important.
Absolutely, Shilpee, can't agree more. In fact, it's finally consumers buy products and they buy products from channels, and channels have each one of the distribution points. So like you rightly said, Bandra store could be very different from another store in another part of the country. So it's not about designing the range. Every one of us in the company, in the brand or retailer company makes a difference. How do you allocate merchandise? Are you sending the right product to the right store? Maybe you've designed it right. Are we distributing it right? Are we even getting the colors right? Each one of these decision points are super critical, right? And I'm going to switch gear to next question. Sam, we have been talking about designing color right, having the strategy, but how do you ensure that using technology that you adopt make a color decision system seamless? You want to talk about that?
Yeah, due to the pandemic, we have the limitation to travel, and everybody's working remotely at home, and somebody do not have the chance. So we try to integrate the physical and digital world together. So we brought in the app called Pantone Connect, which is available on Android as well as Apple Store. Also, it is available on the website and Adobe Creative Cloud. So whenever you are going in the market, you get the inspiration. Just take out your smartphone, click your inspiration, use the color match card, and then you can find the inbuilt library, and you can find the closest Pantone number. So those numbers you can download, share it on social media, or share with the team. So basically, we are trying to make a platform wherein there is no confusion. If you are a digital website designer, then you can toggle between the libraries and go for the Pantone matching system. If you are a fashion designer, you can click the photo of any home furnishing and then refer back to the TCX number. So we are trying to give the platform wherein everybody can access. It's simply as simple as that. We have created the platforms. You create your own content, like a Netflix. So we have given the platform. You create your own videos or content. So this is how we are evolving, so that the designers as well as the supply chains working seamlessly.
Yeah, Sam, just want to ask some question from the audience for you. Does the name of colors change from season to season in Pantone?
No. We have 2,625 colors in cotton system, and around 200 colors in the polyester, and 21 colors in the nylon system. So the name never changed. So we keep on adding the colors based on our inputs in retail industry.
Yeah. Now, for others in retail on the panel, there are questions from the audience. Prem, for example, the question from Prem is: do customers relate to colors with the brands in value retail and in fast fashion? Is it color or fashion trends? Now, does the channel and the space you operate decide the color? That's a question.
Let me pick this up, Ganesh. I think depending, right? So liberty that probably online has over offline is that there's no limitation on space, right? And hence, I think you can take a lot more chances in terms of what you want to work with in terms of colors, right? However, I think in terms of offline, you will have to, run with a lot more balanced approach, considering that, every square foot, right, of your store is a commercial real estate, right? It needs to deliver certain return. And I think, and there's only so much that you can stock, and hence I think what is the right balance that you need to go with. I think that's something that you need to decide. But purely from a consumer point of view, as a consumer, do they shop or do you have a different mindset for colors when it comes to offline and online? In all possibility, no, right? I think they probably look at the colors, as part of what they would want to buy and part of the trends that they're probably looking into buy. But at least I don't think I've also spent reasonably enough time in offline environment too. So I don't see that being a big differentiator. But to your point, again, right, Ganesh, in terms of from a trend point of view, colors are one of the biggest trend, right? And I think we make this mistake way too many times, right? Is that we look at it in terms of a print direction, we look at it in terms of silhouette, we look at everything else, right? And color seems like the probably something that happens because I think in many case it gets driven by the brand or maybe the the buying team that you have, right, or maybe the retailers that sort of asking for a certain color, but I think it's one of the most powerful too, right? It can make or break, right? And everything else you've got right, if you got the color wrong, nothing will move, right? I think it can't be more. I can't spend more time and emphasis on saying that, get this right first, right? And it is if it is if there's one trend that is the most important one every season for you to look at, it is the color, right? And spend disproportionate time to get the colors right, and everything else can follow.
Great, Nihal. One can't reinstate that further. Just want to add some data to whatever you have said. Is there a difference between color preferences between online and offline? We have done this analysis. We work with omni-channel retailers, online retailers, puristic, and we gather data at internet scale. Our understanding is that if your audience is youthful, we are talking about India, if your audience in the age group anywhere between 25 to 35, there is an 80% match between online and offline. There is an 80% match between offline and online. If you win in online, you also win in offline. But if you are in an audience who are not online friendly, who only shop in offline, you don't have enough data for that in the online space. So that's very rare. None of the brands online today, nobody is targeting India. 75% of India is below 35. So we are talking about saying that a merger, and 70-80% of today offline shopping happens after an online research. That is just to give you a few data points to reiterate what Nihal was saying. Just want to move on, just to break the clutter. And let's ask the one more question. And this is interesting. Now, this is a global study, nothing to do with India. Like a curiosity. The most favorite color of the world is blue. It's known, right? Now, the question is, what is the second most favorite color? This is a global research done by a marketing firm globally. For here, the question is on your chat box. Interesting, interesting. Yes. Here, somebody is going to get a jackpot. The jackpot is, we all thought, right? We were all taken by surprise. Of course, this is a research. It's there in the net. You can check it. But, it's purple after blue, right? It's a favorite color just after blue, right? And of course, so one can check and research whether we all thought, we also thought white, black or something, but it's purple. And let's move on to, now fantastic questions so far from the audience, 5 to 7 minutes. Please rush your question. This session is for you. Right. And in case we are not able to answer any questions, and we will get those answers through email back to you. Vatan, can you just read out some questions which are unanswered? Meanwhile, I'll just, ask the next question to the panelist.
Yes, please. So one of the questions which is resonating a lot among a few participants is forecasting, from WGSN or be it any other agency. They are normally done keeping in mind the Western or global consumers. How do we interpret it for Indian consumers, or for Indian consumers, should we have a separate color study or color forecasting?
I'll pick this, Ganesh. There are two parts to it. In fact, three. First part is the forecasting part, which is being largely done by the Western countries. India has not created a forecasting system yet. Probably, I think NIFT is working on it. As far as forecasting is concerned, India has access to all the forecasting system and as global brands. But the second part of it is application, where I see there is a gap. At least in my experience in the last 20 years, I have not seen this happening in India, which I've seen in Europe, for example. Say, orchid is the color which Pantone is forecasting for the next season, orchid flower. And similarly, Trend Union or Color Union will come up with a similar point of view on a particular color or a group of colors, maybe 2 or 3. What happens in global brands is these brands come together and pick those colors as colors of the season and then build upon the range. And when the season comes, the customers who eventually go to shop online, offline, whichever way, they see the prominence, the dominance of those colors across the stores. And hence, when they don't have it in the wardrobe, they feel they're out of trend, and hence those colors end up working. That's the cycle how it works. Whereas in India, different brands, we don't have a union system wherein different brands work separately and they pick up their own colors. And eventually you don't see a strong color in the market in India ever. At least I have not seen. So that's something we should think about, how to build on the forecasted color. So forecasting is being picked up by Indian brands, but the application part is not so good. Second part of it is like, of course, regional tastes, which I think Sartaj spoke about. A lot of brands have regional presence, even national brands, they have regional dominance. For example, anecdotal again, like a biggest brand in the country called Louis Philippe, a large part of its sale happens in south of India compared to the east or northeast of India. And hence, those typical colors like jewel tones and all work well for that particular brand compared to other brands, say, which is prominent in north or east or west. So similarly, the taste of the east is not catered to, for example, by that particular brand. So this is a subject which is very interesting, and we have not yet, I think, done well here, and which is a subject which probably we could work upon in future in a better way.
I'll just.
Okay, thanks, Partha. I think for want of time, Nihal, I think maybe we need to just roll. I just want to add to what Partha was saying is that, in fact, at Stylumia, we've been using data to predict colors. And, there is a published case study on one of our customers who used the right tone of yellow based on the system recommendations, and 30% jump in sales compared to the tone which was earlier decided. The point I was trying to say is today data can help in forecasting better. When you have a lot of data on colors, you could start to predict, because prediction is basically, all predictions happen from data. So that is just one point. Anybody interested could look at that. And we have just 3 minutes. I'm going to put now panelists under a bit of discomfort. The question I'm going to ask you is, definitely the first question will not put you into trouble, which is your most successful color. Yeah, your best color bet, right? In one sentence, one word, 2 words, quickly. And the second question, after you've done the first round, is your biggest color flop of your career.
This for us?
Yes, it's for you.
Blue and gray. Gray is the most complicated color. To get the right shade or tint of gray is most difficult, I think, in apparel especially. And generally 90% chances of not getting the right color is there in gray. Blue is, of course, we all know blue had been the most successful color for all.
Got it. Thanks. Next one.
So I'll go with Partha. Blue is the most successful color for men's. And, the lilacs and pinks have done very well for women's.
And what's your, go ahead.
So for me, a lot of success stories have come from using a mix of brighter colors for summer story. That was my first success. It was called Hawaiian Conference. So I've succeeded there, summer bright color. And one collection which didn't do well, which was kind of imposed on me, and it came from buyers, was called Winter White. It was done in a specific category called jacket. So it was a big learning that Indians don't wear white jackets, and it was like 20 years ago. So that's where, a big downfall happened.
Thanks, Sartaj.
I'll go next, right? I think blue and blacks, right, work across. I think I don't think, right, Ganesh, I think the colors sort of become flopper because the color, but I think just the tone and application that probably didn't work, right? But I would go with slightly brighter shades of either yellow, right, or teal, right? That sort of just almost became a little electric, right, in nature. That didn't work for us much. But just to add, I think what worked for us was this new refreshed, completely refreshed palette of, elevated pastels, right? Very soft, so new sages, right? New beiges. Some of those have become extremely successful. Salmon is amazing color again, right? So very, very new successes in some of the really new colors overall for the season.
Thanks, Nihal. Nelson?
I think for us and our fabrics, pastels have worked best. And in terms of brighter shades, it's more yellows and pinks. In terms of challenges faced in getting colors right, I think we face challenges always in royal blue. It never seems to hit it right, and also sometimes the teals that we work with.
Got it. Sam, what's your experience? You're powering so many people, and have you heard about stories of color success at the same time colors that put somebody down?
Actually, I do not want to say particular about the any particular color is favorite or not favorite and the failure. But because we are a Pantone and we just give our language, and the brands will decide which color is going for their palettes. So I would leave this question to the other eminent panelists.
Wonderful, wonderful. Hey, we are just on.
Ganesh, brown is again a very, very difficult color to sell in India. I mean, it really, hurts a lot.
I agree. That's one difficult color. Beautiful color, but very, very difficult.
Yeah, the difficulty. I think there is so much of knowledge comes from difficulties. Like, and we heard about the gray difficulty. We heard about the brown difficulty. We heard about the choice of color for a wrong season. That's a white story coming from Sartaj. I would like to first of all thank all the audience for a wonderful participation, right? And so many questions. We may not have answered all the questions. Vatan, if you can just note down all of these questions. If something we have not answered, we will respond to you back by mail. Would like to thank for the time of all our panelists. It's a peak morning time, leaving all your busy jobs and be here and adding value to the community. It's been wonderful. Thank you very much and wish you all a great day ahead.
Thanks, Ganesh.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks, Ganesh. Thank you, everyone. Pleasure connecting.
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.
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 Have a great day.